Chicas! Welcome to Coding for Chicks! Today we're gonna learn about how to create BlackJack, which is a very fun card game. And since we've already learned all about comments, I have now commented what we're going to do in this video. So first things first, we're obviously going to create a function called DAC. So let's do that. As you can see from the comments, it's not going to take in any variables. So we're just going to leave it like this. Now our function is going to create a list of the cards in the deck. So we're first going to create the list within the function. As so. So now we have an empty list and we've got to fill it with some stuff. And we can see here that we want hearts, spades, diamonds and clubs. And then we're gonna use this for the numbers on the cards. So it's gonna be A for ace or 1 and 2 to 9, just numbers. And then it's gonna be 10, jacks, queens and kings. Alrighty then. So we're gonna use a for loop to insert all of this into the list. So I write for suit in, and then I create a list with each individual suit, like so. And I'm just gonna use strings, obviously. And then I need another for loop within this one. It's gonna be the rank. So for rank in, and I just start writing. And to make it quicker, I'm actually just going to copy this. Like so. Okay. But now for the awesome thing. I'm gonna add these to the deck. And that I do just with append. I'm appending to the list. And it's gonna be suit plus rank. And here we go. Now we've added each individual heart, HA, H2, H3, and so on and so forth, for each individual suit, and we have all of them within the deck. So we have a full deck of cards. Awesome. Okay, but I don't really want to return this deck in an order, do I? So wouldn't it be nice to shuffle the deck? Now our magical random library has something called shuffle. So we're just going to use that. So we do from random import shuffle, and we then use it within our function. So shuffle the deck, please. And then for the finale, return the deck. There we go. Our deck function is ready. There's a small spelling error right here. This is supposed to be a D. Let's fix it before we continue. So now we go to our next function. Oh, this is so exciting. This is going to be the one that is counting the player's points. Before we do this one, we actually have to know about the rules of BlackJack. And what we have to know is, for example, that 10 jacks, queens and kings are going to be 10, worth 10 points. These are all going to be worth the points that they say, except for ace. The ace is either 1 or 11. And this is a player's choice kind of a thing. So if we're going to have a computer player, he has to pick the one that is most valuable for him. So I have to know this before we create this function. Okay, so now we create it, and it's going to be define point count, the name of our function. We can name it anything we want, as you know. And then what are we going to send in here? We want the player's hand. So we want the list of the card the player has in his hand. Of course, and we're just going to call that my cards. And okay, this is getting exciting. So now we want to loop through my cards and see what we actually have in our hand. But before we do that, we should create a variable that is going to contain our point sum. So this is going to be the count for the points, the point count. And then we do the loop for I in my cards. What am I going to do now? So I want to check now if the card I'm holding has any of these bad boys. These are worth 10 points. So I really want to have those in my hand. And to do that, I need an if statement. And I'm going to do if my card, and what am I looking for here? Am I looking for 0? Am I looking for the suit? No, I'm not. I'm looking for 1 because I'm looking for the rank. And you can maybe see that I wrote T here instead of 1 and 0. And the reason is to make this one a little bit easier. Little trick over there. Yeah. I'm full of magic. And to make this a little bit quicker, I'm going to do copy, because I'm also going to check Q, K, and T. And if any of these guys is in my hand, I have a 10-point addition to my point count. So that's going to be so amazing. We know aces are special. So we're going to actually check if the next card is not an ace. Because we want to leave the aces for last. They're the best, so we want to leave them for last. Yes! And I'm just going to add the number of the card, because it's 2, 3, 4, blah, 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 to the count. But don't forget, we need to change it to an integer. Otherwise, it won't add to anything. Okay, so now we have to think a little bit. We got the aces, and this has to work for the computer as well. So we need to know what is best to do in the situation. Should I use it as 1 or should I use it as 11? And what I decided to do is actually add another counter which counts the aces I have. So we're going to do ace count equals 0. And if the card I'm holding is an ace, I'm going to add ace count plus 1. You will see in 1 second why. We've now traveled far away into the future, and it is now 1 second later. So we're actually going to find out the secret of the ace count. And we're going to do that through the if statement. So ace count, if it is, equals to 1. So we have 1 ace. And my count is less or equals to 10. Then what would we want the ace to be? I think 11. Yes, yes. It's what we want. Or if it's not this like special good situation, then we want it to count as 1. Now it's maybe a little bit complicated, but if you think it through, I'm sure you will understand. So if you have 2 aces, you would count the first one as 11 and the second one as 1. You would never count 2 as 11 because then you would have 22. And as we all know, blackjack is a game of 21 and lower, not higher. Now the only thing left to do is return that point count. Return my count, and our function is ready. So in this function, we're going to create the player and dealer's hand and randomly give each one 2 cards from the deck. But for the dealer's hand, we're actually going to give him his full hand since he's going to be computer generated. So I'm going to define the function. It's going to be define create playing hands. And here I want to take in the deck. My deck. And yes. And we're going to create some hands. So dealer hand. It's going to be empty. And player hand. Also an empty list since we're going to have more than 1 card. And then we take some cards from that deck. So dealer hand, append my deck, and we just pop from that list of cards. And we need to do it again since he's getting 2 cards. And append my deck, pop. Okay. And we do the same for the player. And append my deck and pop. And we just copy this one. Yeah. To make it quicker. And now for some magic. So we have this dealer guy. He's computer generated. He's artificially intelligent, dark, handsome, a robot that's going to take over the world and save the princess. You know, the guy that every woman wants. And we actually have to create his full hand. So we're going to use a while loop. So while point count, this is our magical point count function from right above here. And we're going to count the dealer's hand. And while it is lower than 16. So why 16? Is it a sweet 16? No, it's not. This is a magical blackjack number. So if the player has 16 or less, he's going to pick another card. If he has more than 16, he's just going to leave it at that. And he's going to go with his luck. So let's add another card. Dealer and my deck and pop. So while our magical unicorn riding player has less than 16, he's going to be picking his cards to get the good 21 number. So we've made our computer happy And we already have 2 cards that we can now add to or not in the next stage. But the only thing we need to do is return what we have created here. So dealer and player hand. There we go. And now for the main event. We need to create our game because we only have functions. So first I need to create my variables. And the first one I always need is going to be my game variable. The one that tells me if the game is over or not. And that's just going to be empty for now. And then I need to create my deck. And I'm going to use the deck function for that. And now my players need some hands. So I'm going to call that hands. And create playing hands and send my deck into that function. As you know before here. No, this one, sorry. And then I need to put the hands in the right places. So my dealer has his hands. His hand even. He's the first one, so he gets number 0. And the player, he has his hand. And he is number 1 here. And now we're done for now. And now for the second part, which is the game loop. So while my game has not been defined as exit, I'm gonna do stuff. Now first let's print out the cards each player has. So print dealer has, and then I'm gonna print only his first card because you never get to see both cards on the other player's hand, of course. But I want to print out both of mine because the computer can't see anyways. And print player. So now I have both of my cards and the dealer's 1 card here. But that's not enough. I need to know the counts. So let's create variables up here. The first one is dealer count, point count for a dealer. So I'm just going to use my point count function from all the way up here. I'm going to throw in the hand, which is the dealer's hand here. If you don't understand, just look at the code and I'm sure it will be very easy to follow. Player count and the same thing, except this is going to be player because I'm sending in each individual hand. Yeah. Now let's create a mechanism for adding cards to the player's hand. So I'm first gonna get some information into my game variable. And what would you like to do? Would you like to H, hit me, or S, stand? And if game equals H for hit me, not literally, it's just a figure of speech, it means I want another card, then I'm going to add another card to my player's hand. Not deck, it's supposed to be deck, yes. There we go. If I don't want another card, I'm gonna check if my count is higher than the count of the computer. There is an obvious reason why this here isn't enough. It has something to do with the number 21. And try to figure it out while I continue with the video. So if the player has more points than the computer, I'm gonna write print player wins with. And I'm gonna use string because my player count is an integer. And plus points. And I'm also gonna write the dealer status. So dealer has, and str for dealer. And this is just his cards. I'm showing all of his cards first. And then his points. Dealer count. Points. And at this point, I actually want to break because I'm finished. But if the dealer had a better hand, I'm gonna print dealer wins. And then, because I also want to see the cards and points of the dealer in this situation, I'm gonna put this one as well here, and then I need a break. Now, have you figured out the problem with this here? As you can see, it doesn't take into account if the player has, let's say, 35. And he can't have 35 because then he's bust, and then he doesn't win. So we have to check that before we come here. And we need another if statement right up here. So if player count equals 21, he already has 21 and he wins. Now it doesn't really matter if the computer has 21 as well, because we're just going to let the player win in this situation. It's not going to be a tie. No, we choose the game. We decide we win. Then break again. And if he doesn't have 21 and actually has something even higher, then it's a very sad scenario and we need to tell him that he actually lost. So player busts with, and I want to give him his point sum, player count, there we go, and then points, and dealer wins. Yes, this is an unfortunate scenario. And then break again. And we also have to check if the computer has bust. So if dealer count is bigger than 21, print, not pint, print. Dealer busts with dealer count points, Brüche, point, player wins, woohoo! And I'll put a space here as well. And then for the break. So before I leave you, I want to add an S here just to make it prettier. And then there's a small flaw we need to fix. And this here piece is not completely correct because it's gonna get run each time we run the point count. And if ace count is 0, we're still gonna be adding 1 because there's only else here. So we need to change this to else if ace count does not equal 0 to prevent that from happening. Now let's run. So we have 20. I think we're gonna stand. Dealer wins with 20 points. Really? Really? This is just unfair. Who made this game? Oh my god. So obviously in case of a draw, the dealer wins. But in case of 21, we win. So maybe it's almost not so much, but still a little bit fair. Wanna do it one more time? I bust. Okay, I'm not so much of a fan of this game. Okay, so now we have a program that can create a DAC, and this DAC function can be used in another program if we want. And we have a point counter machine kind of a thing that can also be used in something else. And we can create the player's hands, and we have a game loop that works, that also can exit if we don't want to finish the game. So yep, we got ourselves a game of BlackJack. So this has been all for today. If you like my videos, please leave me a like. If you think I'm very awesome and you really want to leave me a comment, please do so. It makes me very happy. And if you would like to see when my next video is out, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you for listening. This has been Coding for Chicks.